Curry me buddy, no he won't. We're live, hello and welcome to Sunday Night Live. It's the United Stand. I think someone should write a jingle for the Sunday Night Live show because it is the show that for people who don't know much about the United Stand, the Sunday show was the start of the United Stand. It used to be a weekly show at, I think it was 9 o'clock originally. So it's the flagship show, it's an important show, get involved with it. Anyway, let's start off where we mean to go on, and that is in relation to Manchester United. Jose Mourinho's come out and said that he wants United to lose. We'll be talking about that in a few minutes. But first of all, ZLATAN Ibrahimovic's return to Manchester United becomes closer and closer. Apparently it's going to happen as early as this month. What do people think about that? What are we thinking about that? ZLATAN Ibrahimovic back to Manchester United. Do we want him back? Do you want him back? What do I want him back? Let me think. Of course I do. Do I want a world-class striker back to Manchester United? Of course I do. Does he have to accept that he's on the bench? Yes, he does. Ross, can you hear me?
How you doing, pal? You alright?
I'm good, thanks. You?
Yeah, really good, mate. Really good.
Good. Just fly straight in. I'm just talking about ZLATAN. It's not really a shock that he will come back. Potentially the fourth signing, although I think there'll be a proper fourth signing. And by proper, I think somebody new to the club in the next 10 days. But ZLATAN Ibrahimovic coming back, I mean, it's the worst kept secret. It's sort of built over the summer. I can't remember, we would have spoken about this towards the end of last season. I can't remember where you stood on it.
Do you know what? My opinion's changed a little bit, and it's actually changed from what I forgot what pundit it was, but someone was mentioning it. Anyway, my original stance was, and I'm sticking with it to a point, is that I don't want him back because I think... I don't want him back because I think that I thought that Jose would just play him like he did and we'd lose what we've got now, which is this fast attacking football with Lukaku running in behind. If we signed him, there's games where ZLATAN could be so key for us, but it's how Jose will manage him. But from what I'm hearing about him potentially being offered a coaching role, and I forget what pundit it was, but I was watching some programme and they mentioned that it could potentially be the best thing for Lukaku to have ZLATAN around because we forget how young he is. He's still a learning guy. He's 24, I believe. And if he's coaching ZLATAN and he's not coaching Lukaku and he's not playing every game, I think it could be a good boost for us and a boost to our forward line. It's just how Jose will play him. I think that's what's got us all worried because we just can't have a repeat of last season. It got a bit ridiculous towards the end, and to be honest, the injury was a godsend, I thought. So, yeah, I'm 50-50 with it, but obviously it's going to happen.
AL's fun is saying, WTF, our manager wants us to lose. We'll clarify that in a couple of minutes, but it's definitely come out of Mourinho's mouth. Sticking with ZLATAN, I wanted ZLATAN last summer, Ross, and I think I do want him to come back. I don't know when he'll come back, we'll discuss that in a moment, but the fear of him coming back, I totally agree with a lot of people's fear, and that is, it's ZLATAN Ibrahimovic, I am ZLATAN. Mkhitaryan made a very good point on Match of the Day, or well, it wasn't on Match of the Day, it was whenever he was interviewed, and it was shown on Match of the Day, that the squad morale was good last year, but it's even better this year, and he didn't say why. I think I know why. It's because we've got rid of two big egos from the club in Wayne Rooney and ZLATAN Ibrahimovic. The squad now is a squad of players that are all working together with no real superstar. And I think ZLATAN and Rooney were big influences in the dressing room for Rooney and on the pitch for ZLATAN. ZLATAN taking all the free kicks. ZLATAN playing every week. If he's coming back to United, Mourinho's got to grab hold of him like he does other players and just say, look, you're on the bench. Lukaku's our number 9. You're on the bench. And if I need you in the last 10, 20 minutes, I'll use you. But my fear would be that he would... that wouldn't happen. I don't know about you, Ross. I mean, if he comes back, I think it's how he's handled if he comes back. That's my fear. I just think if he's coming back as a squad player to sit on the bench and, you know, play certain lesser games in League Cups and FA Cups, fantastic. But if he's coming back and we're going to find a way of playing him and Lukaku up front, I'm fearful of that. And the reason I'm fearful of that, just before I come back to you, is I'll just show this little graphic. Although it's the lineup against Swansea, the yellow pen's coming out. So when the defence of Swansea play, they were playing here as a back three. They're playing here because they don't want Lukaku getting into this space and he can't do it. If they're playing against ZLATAN, they're going to play up here because they've got no fear of this ball coming in behind here and ZLATAN getting through. They can't play a high line against Lukaku because he will get through. That is the problem. And the also problem with ZLATAN is Lukaku never comes into these areas. He never comes into the areas. He's looking for here, here and here. Whereas Zlatan can't go there. The defence's line, he comes into here. He comes into Mkhitaryan's space and he starts taking the ball in the number 10 position. So they're the problems that Zlatan poses for me. But if he's on the bench, he's on the bench. I'm not bothered about that.
Yeah, that's why I'm intrigued by this rumour of a potential coaching role as well, maybe in the contract after he finishes playing, that he could start doing straight away, because let's face it, Zlatan's not going to come back and sit on the bench, but if he's got this coaching role enigma about him, it kind of gives him an excuse to be on the bench. But I think it's a good point that he said about the high line and stuff, and I think that there's a big difference in the team this year and last year in these last 10-15 minutes, because I think the reason why we're destroying teams in the last 15 minutes is because we've got that energy and pace and power. And if anyone was going to fade in the last 10-15 minutes, it would have been Zlatan in the game. You can't hold any of that against him. The geezer's like 35 years old. He's going to fade in games, or he's going to conserve his energy and not make the runs, where Lukaku's just got pace, power, everything. He's got everything for me. So, yeah, I'm just on the fence with it, Mark. I want him back because it'd be nice. I think he deserves to come back for the shift that he put in last year. It'd also be nice if we win the league and Zlatan can, say that he's won the league in pretty much, well, in every league he's ever played in. But it's all on Mourinho. It's how he uses him, and if he uses him as a coach / backup / even a Champions League player, to be honest, for the group stages, because he'll bang in probably 5 or 6 goals in the Champions League group stage if we play him. So he could come into his own, to be honest. But it's just how Mourinho uses him. That's what's got me worried.
Lots of love for the yellow pen. Mr. Pineapple Hero says, can you please lick the yellow pen? I'm not licking any yellow pen, thank you. I don't know what that's an innuendo for. But let's move on to Jose Mourinho's comment about wanting to lose. This was interesting, Ross. He said this morning that, well, I think it was from last night, but it came out this morning, that he wants to see his Manchester United side losing so that he can see how they react to it emotionally. Obviously, he doesn't want them to lose the game. He wants to see what happens when United are losing. So if we'd gone 1-0 behind yesterday, he wants to see how we react to that. For me, I think this just, again, demonstrates the brilliance of Mourinho. But I don't know what's your interpretation and thoughts on that.
Yeah, Mourinho has been really struggling the last 2 weeks to try and deflect away from us being title challengers, because that's all everyone's mentioning, and he's just trying to calm a little bit of the enthusiasm. I think he's right in doing that. He needs to do that to the whole of the Premier League as well as our own fans, because it is true what he says. We did win 3 games on the bounce last season and we finished 6th, so it means absolutely nothing these first 2 games apart from the confidence. And I think he's just trying to just remind everyone, in this team we haven't conceded a goal, and I know we've got this new characteristic in the team, but this team we've never seen actually go behind in a competitive game. So it's just reminding everyone, look, let's not get carried away. Let's see a few more scenarios. Perhaps if we go 1, maybe 2-0 down against a team and we come back and win 4-5-2, then you're going to go, they're nailed on for the title. But if we go 1 or 2-0 down and collapse, then there'd be serious questions asked. And I think Jose's just trying to... He's an absolute master at deflecting away from the players, and I think he's just trying to do that because there's so much hype around us at the minute, and it's deserved. It's the best start to a season I've ever seen. I know it's 2 games in, but it's just phenomenal. So he's just trying to cool a little bit, and I agree with it. He's not saying that we want to lose. I get it. He's just saying we need to see how this team reacts, and I look at the team and I think it'd react really well, to be honest. We've got enough. I know we've lost Rooney and Zlatan, the big characters, but I think that it's just we've lost a problem, and now Rooney's gone. It's fantastic, he's doing great at Everton, but I just think that it just allows other people to step forward and be the characters, and that's maybe what you're seeing in Pogba and in other players this season. So yeah, I think it's a good comment. I don't really read too much into it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a brilliant comment. I think it's absolutely superb, because I think it's just never being happy, which I think you're sort of talking on there. He's never content. I was quite, I had Xander on for the second half of the watch-along yesterday. He was getting quite a lot of stick because he was acting like a little spoilt brat, to be honest. And he was, because he was like, oh, I know we're going to probably win 1-0, but I want us to win 4-0 and this, that and the other, which is fine, everyone's opinion. But I was actually quite enjoying the fact that we were going to battle a 1-0 win, because those results will be more important than beating West Ham 4-0 at home. We won't win every game 4-0. We need to learn to win badly, and I think Mourinho will get us doing that. So I was obviously ecstatic that we got 3 other extra goals at the end, but I would have been just the same. I think we both spoke about it in the hour before the game, that any result would have been good yesterday as long as it was a winning result. So Mourinho coming out and saying, I want to see us losing, I think it's just brilliant. Most other managers might think it, but they wouldn't say it publicly. And I think what he's doing is he just wants to see how good this team really is. They're obviously very good at killing teams off when they're in front in the last 10 minutes. We've done that 2 weeks in a row. But how's it going to react when it's 1-0 down against the run of the play, or they're getting dominated? How will it respond? I think it's going to respond very well. But Mourinho, I agree with Ross, is just he's trying to sort of quell expectations. And I think on that, the season, this sounds really silly to say it, Ross, but the season for me doesn't start until after the international break, because we have 3 games. We should beat Leicester next week. They are a decent team, Leicester. They should have got something out of Arsenal on the opening day, and they won comfortably yesterday at home to Brighton. So Leicester are probably the toughest challenge yet, which is fine, no problem with that. But we should still beat them at Old Trafford with the 12th man. But if we win that, we've got 9 points. We had 9 points last year after the first 3 games, and then it went wrong after the international break. So doesn't matter if we win next week. We're in the same position as we were last season, and we finished 6th last season. So we shouldn't get carried away at all. But I think all of us can see there's marked improvement in some key players, and that's why the excitement's there. And it's the closest we've played to the United we want for a long, long time. So, but for me, the season doesn't start until after the international break, because that is when Europe comes along, League Cup, and that's when you start playing 3 times a week, and that is when we'll be tested. And we've also got quite a, some would say, an impossible result game when we come back from the international break. Stoke away. I think a certain team lost to Stoke away yesterday, so that will be a test for us as well.
Yeah, it will be. And the international break is historically always ruined us. We always lose men, important men in the international break through injury, which is infuriating. And that is going to, I don't know if it's 1 week or 2, it's probably 2. That's going to be the most infuriating couple of weeks, just to sit there and have to watch an international football game, which is a load of crap. But yeah, like you said, it's the transfer market as well. And what we can't get carried away with as well is how bad teams like Liverpool and Chelsea are playing, because they're going to strengthen. I think they're both going to strengthen. Tottenham will strengthen. So we're not seeing the teams. This is not going to be the Chelsea team that goes through the season. It's not going to be the Liverpool team once they sell Coutinho and probably buy like 3 Andy Carrolls. But yeah, so it will all change, and we've just got to stick to what we do. And yeah, it's 1 game at a time, isn't it? And that Stoke game does look, tough. I'd looking at the Leicester game that we should win hands down, no doubt. But yeah, it'd be interesting, that Stoke game. It should silence a few Arsenal fans up, hopefully, but if they haven't been silenced already.
Just reading some of the comments. Chad Sproul says, Mark, BT Sport read out your tweet and Gerard talked about it. It was the one about Pogba and FIFA. Yeah, I did see that. Gerard reading out a Manchester United tweet. It's the closest he'll ever get to a title. And some people are on about, I've heard about this today, about the True Geordie. I don't know the True Geordie. If the True Geordie hates me, then he's got no reason to do it at all. So if I don't know. I don't watch his content. I don't have any issue with him. I don't know why. He's clearly getting information, and you should always judge people on your own information. So I don't know the person. So if he's making his mind up about me, then he's doing that without even knowing me. So that's all I can say about that. Coutinho will stay, Liverpool won't sell, says Anut Patel. Weird transfer window. In some ways, you've got Neymar leaving Barcelona and you never expected it. You've got Coutinho wants to go and play in a dream move for Barcelona, and Liverpool are preventing it. How's that going to play out? It's bad for football. But little rumours tonight, Ross, that Messi might go to Man City. I've always said that if Messi leaves Barcelona, he will go to City, and City with Pep with Messi, he can start mythalising his managerial career again and hide behind Messi. I can't see that happening, but I presume if he's got a buyout clause, it would make it very... My only thought on this is that it's all well and good PSG taking the absolute mickey out of FFP and getting Neymar in, but I think if Man City tried to do it, I think there'd be more uproar from the Premier League if they did it. I can't see it happening.
No, I quite like the Neymar transfer, to be honest, because I liked... Barcelona have been doing that to clubs for years, and they didn't like it, and they deserved it. And hopefully, You know, FIFA or UEFA will clamp down on FFP now, and I think they will after seeing that, because it is a shocking transfer, but it had to happen at some point, and I'm pleased it was Neymar to PSG. It wasn't Messi to City that did that. I don't. Will Messi go? I think he'll probably want to go, because if you look at Barcelona's starting 11 now, it's an absolute joke. I mean, they're playing that Everton reject, I think, today, which is shocking. And I don't think Coutinho is going to really help them in the positions that they need, to be honest. He's not a left winger, he's not a forward. So they're going to struggle. So, yeah, he would go to City if he left, but I can't see it happening. And I think Messi's time may have been and gone in the Premier League, to be honest. He had a chance to come a couple of years ago, but I can't see him coming over and doing as well as Ronaldo did in the Premier League. Say, I know Ronaldo probably wouldn't do as well as he did back then, but he was here in his prime, and I think Messi's gone past his prime. And what I'd worry about Messi as well at City is that Messi has always played in teams where the players and the manager were all bought because of him, and he'd have to fit a whole different style on all different players. He's never had to do that in his whole career. I think he'd really struggle with it. So hopefully it won't happen. I don't think it will anyway.
Jonathan Royston 4 says, why are we talking about rivals? Just talk concentrate on United. I was going somewhere with this, Jonathan, and that was if Man City get Messi, we'll just have to get Ronaldo and let them go at it in the Premier League. I'd love to see that. But in relation to the transfer window, Ross, there are still 10 days left. Are you expecting any business for Manchester United? Because I'm reading the comments, and despite me becoming quite tired with it, and doesn't mean I'm going to stop doing the transfer dailies, because that would be poor for us to stop doing it 11 days before the end, but I'll be glad when we hit September and we can totally focus on football. Do you feel that there will be a signing? I mean, this is from the man who was spot on about De Gea. He said he wouldn't leave. I and many others thought he would. Can you see another deal happening? Because I can.
I can as well. I think the money's in the bank. I think it will be... I don't think we're going to they've done the right thing. We've got the 3 key players that we needed to get in. We may have paid over the odds for some, whatever. I think for this 4th guy, they did not want to pay over the odds for what they'd conceive as an average player. So I think it was quite telling that Mourinho was poking Bale a little bit, because that's kind of what he wants. And I saw a tweet this morning, I think it come from the United stand, about a potential Griezmann move. He's so unsettled, it really wouldn't surprise me. And looking at our team now, I can still see exactly where he'd slot into our starting 11. Playing behind Lukaku, it would be absolutely shocking and scary. And I think that's the kind of transfer. I know Jose's mentioned left wing back a little bit, but I just think he's got enough. Shaw's coming back. I think he'll just be looking for it. We'll either buy Galactico or we won't buy anyone. And, you know, we're in this really good situation where all our business is done. If that player's available, we'll just go and buy him. We'll do another Paul Pogba. If he's not available, we can wait. We've got January, we've got next summer. Griezmann are coming next summer regardless. So our business is already mapped out. It'll just be that one shock if it happens. And it's not on United. It's on the players forcing moves away from their, clubs.
Do you think there'll be one, or do you think there'll be a couple?
Well, if you count ZLATAN, it'd be 2, but I think it'd just be 1. But if the players don't force a move, I don't think it would be any. I think Jose's actually quite happy with the team. And it will be a Galactico. It'd be Griezmann or it'd be Bale. It probably won't be Bale, but Griezmann's the one that interests me. Atletico, he's not happy. They're playing shit. He got sent off. Could happen.
I've got no... As I said on the transfer show this morning, if people didn't watch it, I'll just summarise it for you now. I've got no sympathy with Griezmann. I think he bottled it. Maybe he did it for the right reasons, but I think he's now regretting it. If it's true that the release clause has gone up, we're not going to be buying him. But I agree with Ross. I think I'm bitter towards him because I think he's an idiot. To be honest, I really think he is. I think number 7 shirt was his. He would have fit into this team perfectly. If Mkhitaryan's got 4 assists, I think he'd have 8 and a couple of goals. I think we would have won 6-0 twice with Griezmann in the team, playing where Mkhitaryan is. And I like Mkhitaryan, but it's like saying I like Herrera, but you can have Verratti. There are players better out there, and Griezmann is better than Mkhitaryan, and that's where he would have played. So you could also play the Mata position. But he turned his back on it for no other reason other than blind loyalty. And there, I don't expect that sort of level of loyalty in football anymore because it's not there. Look at what Neymar did. Stupid move, just mercenary move. And Griezmann should have done the same. He's given more than enough loyalty to Atletico Madrid. But he's laying his bed and he'll have to sleep in it. And what I like, Ross, is the fact that we know that Mbappe... well, we don't know for sure, but it was rumoured that Mbappe didn't consider a move to Manchester United because he found the style of play boring. And yet... first 2 games of the season, we've absolutely battered teams, and I think it's fantastic. I think a lot of people will be taking notice of Manchester United at the moment. Draxler's a possibility from PSG. I agree. From some people saying that, but just go back to the Premier League for a very quick moment. I know we're only 2 games in, but I can't remember whether you said I think United will win the league, and I base that on the fact that Mourinho always does it in his second year. Good start. Arsenal have already dropped points, 3 points behind us. Liverpool are 2 points behind us. They've dropped points. Chelsea are 3 points behind because they dropped points. Burnley. Then they've beaten Spurs, so they're 3 points behind us. Everton, City tomorrow. I still think City will win it, but if they don't, all the big teams already after 2 games have dropped points on us.
Yeah, and I was really interested to see if that's what everyone else does, because that's exactly what I'm doing at the minute. I know it's 2 games in, but I'm looking at the league table and going, nice, 3 points ahead of Chelsea, nice, 2 points ahead of Liverpool, and that's the way I want it to carry on. And as long as I'm doing 2 points ahead, 1 point ahead, I'll be absolutely happy. I think it's between us and City. I really do. I think Pep will mount a challenge, and it'll be what we thought last season was going to be with Jose and Pep. I think we'll get that this season. Don't think City are up to the challenge as much as us. I don't think as much as Aguero and Jesus are talented players, they're just not the power that United is. And just going back to Griezmann thing just a second, I'm actually, the way it's worked out, when we didn't get Griezmann, I think me and every United fan was head in hands. What are we going to do now? Transfer's ruined. But I don't think Lukaku would have happened if Griezmann wouldn't have turned us down. And looking at the balance in the team now, would I trade Lukaku for Griezmann? But I know they're different positions. I just don't know if the transfer would have happened. And I love our balance in our team now. And I think Griezmann adding to that, if it's a very small if, we did get him in, I think you'd be giving the Premier League trophy to United already. And I think that's what Jose would be whispering into Woodward's ear, saying, you've seen what I've done with this team already. If you give me one more Galactico, give me the trophy because I'll bring it home. So it's going to be interesting. And that's how I feel with it, to be honest. It's already, with 6 points, 2 games, it's ours to lose. And we'll have to throw it away. And yeah, one more transfer and it could get even closer, I think.
I think you're spot on because I've said this before, Zlatan's a better player than Lukaku, but Lukaku suits our system better, and it's not always about the better players, it's about the system. And so, I think Lukaku's just, because he can get in behind and because he's quick around the box, that in the Premier League is worth far more. If we're playing in Serie A, where the defences play deep, then Zlatan would show his class over Lukaku, but in the Premier League, you can't afford to not have pace up front, and that's why Lukaku's doing so well. Let me just go to this. Super Brew is our predictor league. I've said I'm going to give people shout-outs who are doing well on it after week 2. It's free to sign up. The link is in the video description to sign up for our predictor league on Super Brew. They do weekly ones, but to be honest, we're still so early into it, you could still catch up, because as you can see, Zayed R7 is top with 22.75 points. So you can still catch up anyway, but they do it weekly. We've got 1,352 players in this at the moment, and I am ranked 107 out of 1,352, which sounds quite high, but it's not. And I'm going to defend myself here, because 22.75 is the leader, and what am I on? Oh God, we're getting a bit low here. I don't like being on the second page, I'll sell you that for free. Let's have a look, 107th place, where is he? I can't even see where I am. Well, I'm in there somewhere. They should tell me how many points I've got. But that's how you enter into that. I'm also in the Manchester United League, and I'm doing quite well. Link in the video. Are you in this, Ross? Did you bother entering?
I'm in there somewhere, but I haven't checked the update because Yeah, I've had a busy weekend.
Well, there's still a game to come tomorrow, isn't there? But yeah, I'm 107 out of 1,350. So I just want to know how many points I've got. But I wonder if it will tell me in here. Oh, there. Okay, I'll have a look at that later. But link in the video description. Get yourself involved in that. Really, really good fun. I like the Predictor League, and they do have like cash prizes and stuff that are done through Super Brew, but it's free to enter. Link in the video description, and that will take you straight to enter the United Stand League, which is we are going to give away a big prize in relation to that ourselves. So well done to that who's top at the moment. George Kyle says my name was right there, and I haven't got my glasses on, George, so there we go. I need to go to... Yeah, a few people are saying you need to go to Specsavers. You're probably right. But there was a super chat there from David that I just want to read out that I've forgotten. I hadn't forgotten it, but I've forgotten what it said. I'd read it when Ross was talking. But yeah, I totally agree that we are some of our parts at the moment. It's still ridiculously early, but I can't help but feel optimistic. I think Mourinho is going to carve this season up and really do it based on you know, every game, and you know, next week and Stoke I think are two big games. I think we'll beat Stoke. David Carey, here it is. He said, "Hi, thanks for the contribution, David." He said, "Hi, Mark. It's the first time in Premier League history that any team have won their first two games 4-0. And if Coutinho is worth £120 million, Pogba is a steal at 90 million. We'll come back to that. Sean Atwood's made a contribution as well. He says, Draxler, Griezmann and Alonso, game over, League One. Alonso? Why would we sign Alonso? The only Alonso I know is the Chelsea one, and there's no chance of us getting him. There's no chance of us getting his Griezmann either. Yeah, Coutinho. I think apparently Liverpool have turned down 120 million for him. It's amazing, isn't it? All last season, Pogba got so much stick, Ross, for being worth 90 million. And he is an absolute snip. I mean, in today's market already, he must be worth 150 now.
Yeah, definitely. And I think there's a key word there, being worth 90 million. And I actually thought he was worth 90 million. I don't think any of us foresaw what was going to happen this season with the transfers. It has gone bananas. But I'll tell you who did foresee it, with Jose, because he told us all last season that next year Pogba's fee will look small in comparison to what you're going to see. And it was the right transfer at the right time for the right club. And yeah, at the time we got stick, he got stick, but you know, now he's had that season where he's had all that stick, and I think even Swansea was singing it at the weekend, you know, what a waste of money. And then he turns around, you know, 1 goal, 1 assist, have some of that, which is what he is. And yeah, you're looking at players like Coutinho and that value, I think, and Neymar. I'm thinking, what is Pogba worth now for what he is? I know, you know, we shouldn't really count marketability into their fee, but that's modern day football. It's there. So you're looking at Pogba's marketable case, the way he plays football and the way he dominates the midfield in every team he plays. He's worth more than Coutinho for me. So you're looking at United nearly doubling their. You know, we could sell him and double our money already. So what an investment, really, and what business. But yeah, Coutinho's fee's ridiculous. I don't know why Liverpool are rejecting it. He doesn't want to play for him. Just let him go. And like I say, Liverpool can take that money and go buy 3 Andy Carrolls with it. It'd be great.
Yeah, I to be honest, you know, if anyone knows, has listened to me about Coutinho, and I don't talk about Liverpool much, I'm not a massive fan of Coutinho anyway. I really am not. I think he's a long shot statter, and I don't think he's that good. But I think, you know, it's funny, you know, whether Liverpool keep him or not, they need to take the L, because he's openly said he wants to leave them. So it just shows you what a desperate small club they are, that they're refusing him going, to be honest. John Sharrell says Sigurdsson and Coutinho are nearly the same. I don't know about that one, to be fair. I'd still like Perisic, yes, I would. Somebody's asking there. And Fellaini must be worth 80 million now. Game changer yesterday, Fellaini. Everyone thinks it's Martial, but he came on and we scored 3 goals, Ross.
Yeah, sorry, I just muted. Yeah, that is... Yeah, he didn't really do a lot, to be honest. But maybe it's just injecting that little bit of fresh legs. But for me, the main man is Martial. When he comes on, it's just right at the minute. When he comes on, he's got so much energy, and he's just destroying defenders. But give Fellaini his due. He comes on, stands there, puts in a shift. To be honest, he looks so static, but the ball just seems to... He's like a magnet to the ball. It always comes to him. It's so annoying because you want it to come to your ball players, and it always ends up at his feet. But Yeah, I think Fellaini's, he's got a lot of stick for the last 3, 4 years, and maybe rightly so. But maybe Jose this season might actually really get Old Trafford warming to him because he's using him in the right ways. Like we said before the game, he starts as a sub. That's what we want to see. I'm happy to have Fellaini on the bench all day, every day, and I'm happy for him to get minutes. Just don't want to see him starting in big games when, like Real Madrid, when we're playing complete ball players because it's stupid.
And it's the same with Lingard. I thought Lingard played absolutely brilliantly yesterday. The way he came on the pitch after the final whistle and did them 2 funny handshakes was absolutely brilliant. And that's the sort of contribution I want from Lingard. Not on the pitch, but just doing the handshakes and keeping the morale up. No, in seriousness though, I ain't got a problem with Lingard if he's on the bench. I haven't got a problem with Fellaini if he's on the bench. We cannot win the league if they... I said it at the start of the season. Last year they combined played over 70 games. If we do that this year, we don't win the league. And I've said that every single year with Fellaini. If he's going to be on the bench and come on, fine. But he cannot start games. There's no place for him, and we won't win the league with him in the team from the start. So I've got no problem with it at the moment. He actually did. I'm going to give him a little bit of a shout out because I've never seen him do this before. I think it was the build up to the Lukaku goal. He was in his own half and he played the ball about 30 yards forward. I think he was trying to put it out of play for an injury, but it managed to go to Martial, and then we went on and scored. But no, it was it's the first time I've ever seen him hit a pass. And I just want to say about Matic as well. I watched Matic a lot yesterday, and the big difference for me, and I'm going to cover it probably in the tactics preview for Leicester later in the week, is the ability of Matic to move the ball around long distances. He can, a bit like Carrick, he can make a 30-yard pass look like a 5-yard pass. And to have a centre defensive midfielder who can do that again is really important, because Herrera can't really do it. Fellaini definitely can't. But Matic does it comfortably off either foot, either way. And that really sort of dictates the midfield. So that was good to see as well. We've still got quite a bit of the show left. So unless Ross has got anything specific he wants to talk about, I want to start taking a few of your questions, because we don't always get the chance to do that. So give us some questions and well, here's one. Keith's Film says... And I'll give this to you, Ross. He says, do you think we dodged a bullet with Morata?
Yeah, big time bullet. And that's no disrespect to Morata, because I think he's a very, very good player. And I think he's going to score bags of goals. But if you put Morata in our team, I just don't think it's going to be the same. Like you said, Lukaku just fits at the minute. He's not the most talented of forward. He's a great finisher. We all know his first touch can improve and his build-up play can improve. But that running down the channels, that always wanting to get in behind, is priceless for us. We haven't had that in a long time. Morata isn't that player. He's not a physical beast. So we have dodged a major, major bullet there. And it's not to do with ability. It's just to do with the type of player. And we've got the right one. And as well, it's the team continuity. You see Instagram, Lukaku, Bay, Pogba. Wouldn't have got that with Morata, I don't think. Maybe a little bit with Pogba, but Pogba and Lukaku are best friends. It was the right transfer, and that doesn't happen that often with United, but it's happened a lot under Jose Mourinho.
I think we've been quite fortuitous. I mean, Fallen Dog King says, is Morata a better buy than Lukaku, which is sort of development on what the previous question was. And I do think we've been very fortuitous, but I do think we're in a better position for it, for a multitude of reasons. None more so than the fact that Lukaku gives us things that Morata can't. He can't be strong and fast, Morata, and it is a foreign league to him as well, whereas to Lukaku it's bread and butter. The last 2 games have been the same as the last 2 seasons for him. He knows these oppositions inside out, and he's taken to it absolutely perfectly so far. He still needs to build up his build-up play, but for Morata, I think Morata, I wanted Morata, and I wanted him over Lukaku, but I can see that actually, in the short term, Morata in the long term, when he gets used to the league, could be better than Lukaku. The jury's still out over a season, but it's important to start the season well. And what I could see is if Morata was in a United shirt, we might have had a couple of draws again. Like Morata might be a better player than Lukaku, like Zlatan is, but maybe Morata might have missed those chances that Lukaku's put away. You can't want to replace Lukaku with Morata based on what Lukaku's done so far. But I do think we've been fortuitous as well, Ross, because one, the big thing is it was very obvious that Mourinho wanted Morata over Lukaku, and we got fed up with Real Madrid messing around, and we saw an opportunity to get Lukaku, and we did it in a very short space of time. And on top of that, the fact that Chelsea wanted Lukaku and we've stopped them getting him is another bonus, because obviously I think if they got him, they'd have had a better start to the season as well.
Definitely. And then you look at fitness as well. It was only, I think it was Community Shield, they were saying that Morata is nowhere near fit enough to start, and he was struggling a little bit with fitness come start of the season. You just don't get that with a Lukaku type player. He's just an animal. And you're right, we were very, very lucky, but that's Mourinho in a way. He gets that throughout his career. It all kind of fell into place. The Lukaku signing, Chelsea stalled. Real Madrid and Morata were taking the piss, so we just went for it, and I'm so pleased we did. I know it's early days, and we can all get on the Lukaku bandwagon because he scored 3 goals. It's not just about the goals. Even if he hadn't scored yesterday, he didn't have a great game at all. He doesn't need to have a great game. It's just what he'll offer us, because he'll push the players up the pitch because the defenders are scared of us. Like you say with Zlatan, they'll sit on the halfway line. They're not going to do that when we've got Lukaku up as a forward player, because he will get in behind and he'll bring other players in. And a lot of them goals yesterday, a lot of the credit will go to the players like Pogba and Mkhitaryan because they got the assists, but most of them goals come from a longish ball to Lukaku, who just laid it off to a midfielder and played him in, and that's what he will bring to us, and I think it's absolutely priceless. And also, just to elaborate a little bit more, it's great that we have a new Thierry Henry fanboy on Sky Sports at the minute, which is fantastic as well, because he seems to have converted to a United fan. I know he coaches Lukaku, but I think all of his favourite players in the world play for Man United at the minute, so so good to hear Thierry Henry
anyway.
Well, he's got Martial, Pogba, he coaches Lukaku. He is literally a United fanboy at the minute.
Who? Henry coaches Lukaku?
I think he's the Belgian coach now, I believe.
Oh, yes, of course he is, yeah.
He's been doing bits on Sky Sports about Lukaku, about how he's telling him what to do, and basically taking credit for Lukaku as he does.
Yeah, let me just, I'll come to let me do this first. Ashwari Nipan's made a contribution. He says, I know people are optimistic, but I really think we need width more than ever until Luke Shaw starts playing the crosses like Marcelo, so Perisic or Draxler for me. Well, we'll see in the next few days. I do think we need to sign a winger. I do agree with that. I've come back to the pitch here, because just what Ross was saying there about Lukaku and that second goal especially. So that second goal, as Ross was saying there, the Swansea defence, they're scared, so they were here. Fellaini actually picks the ball up here. He plays the long ball for the first time in his life, a long pass. And I think it's Mkhitaryan or Martial pick it up here. And then they're running at the back 4. And then it all gets all a bit messed up. And then Lukaku's here and he puts it away. Now, that's what it's about. It's this fear of Lukaku that pushes them way back, which allows the space here, which allows Fellaini from here to dink the ball in there. Again, if you've got Zlatan, that defence isn't scared. It's there. And then it's a congested midfield. And then Fellaini hasn't got that ball and he can't knock it over the top because Zlatan can't get there. That's the thing I'm happy to do this season, to just sort of highlight what Lukaku brings to us. And I don't think Morata could do that either. But just about the Lukaku deal and the basic story or rumour that what happened with the Lukaku deal is, and I can't stand Real Madrid, but in an adverse way, maybe we should be grateful to Real Madrid in the messing around they did around Morata, because United were anxious to get their striker in place before they went on the US tour. It was taking weeks to sort Morata out. Remember, he came back from his honeymoon and it was expected to get done, and then it wasn't. And Real Madrid were dragging their feet. What happened is, because United have a decent relationship with Raiola, they sort of were in discussions with him about something else. And Lukaku was brought up, and Raiola basically said, it's not done with Chelsea yet. If you've got enough money, we'll do it with you. And that's how it happened. I think United just were like, well, let's do it then. Really, really good. Really, really pleased with it. So what else we've got in questions? CCR2971 says Marcus Rashford lacks intelligence. Thoughts on that, Ross?
It's a really tough one. Rashford's been getting a lot of stick, and I really, really don't agree with it. I think he's been putting in a really good shift. I just don't think he can finish at all. But from what I'm seeing with his play, his overall play and build-up is leaps and bounds beyond what it was last season. He doesn't lose the ball as often when he runs at players. He runs at them, and he retains the ball, and he manages to pass it on. I think Rashford is developing very, very well, and he caused their defence a lot of problems And I'm happy with him starting. I know there's a lot of Martial fanboys calling for him to start, but at the minute, again, I wouldn't change a winning team. I think Rashford is defenders like a deer in headlights when he's running at them. It really is, and he may not lack intelligence. He's very, very young, and he's got so much to learn yet. He's just relying on his key skills, which is pace. And he's got quite a powerful shot on him, but I'm glad he's not taking free kicks anymore. But no, I think Rashford's getting a lot of unfair stick, and it's mainly due to the form of Martial when it comes on for 9 minutes. But I'm happy with that. Let Rashford play all game. Let him tire out their defence. Let Martial come on for 10 minutes, score a goal, get an assist. Because as long as he's doing that, I think the balance in the team is working really well at the minute.
Yeah, I'd agree. I'm going to come back to that. Zidarth Boss says, "Hey Mark, pumped about the new season. What are your predictions for the January transfer window?" Thanks for the contribution, Zidarth. I don't really want to talk about January transfer window until we finish this one, but being as you made a contribution, I will give you one prediction. We will not sign Griezmann in January. People need to kill that dead. It will not happen. If he's going to join, it will be next summer. We will not sign Griezmann in January. I will eat my shoes if we do. It won't happen. You don't do that sort of deal in January. It'll be cup tied for the Champions League. It won't happen. It'll be in the summer. Just quickly going back to Rashford, I agree with Ross on that. Rashford's my favourite player with Martial. It's a bit odd that they're battling for the same place because I really like them both. I thought Rashford played really well yesterday, but his final ball is the area of improvement. Like Lukaku's build-up play and touch is the area of improvement. I believe both of them will improve on it. Rashford is a bit rash when it comes to, that chip that was Welbeck at his best, that chip he had in the first half. And he did also have a chance against Real Madrid, didn't he? And Chelsea last year. He's got to become more clinical. But he trains with Martial. And Martial, when it comes to finishing, I don't think he's even now getting the credit, Martial, for that finish yesterday. There was a lot to do, and he made it look ridiculous. That finish was just taking the absolute mick out of that keeper. To pass it in like that was just... He can finish, Martial. Absolutely superb player. But they've got to work off each other. I'm very happy with them both. And like Ross, I don't really want to see any negativity around any United player at the moment. And certainly not Rashford, because I thought he caused Swansea a lot of problems. He was booed throughout the game. And we'll start talking about it in the week, what the team for next weekend should be. I don't know about Martial. Well, I'll ask Ross that in a minute, actually. Have a thought, Ross, Martial or Rashford to start against Leicester. I've just got to answer one thing quickly first, though. A few people have, obviously, over the last couple of weeks, come on and highlighted my Matic is just Fellaini without a wig. Officially, I would say now I've been proved wrong about that. But in my defence, I will still say that Matic hasn't played like this for 2 years, even though he won the title last year. I've seen loads of Chelsea fans saying this Matic is not the Matic of Chelsea last year. Kante was the player running around. Matic was really quite suppressed. So, brilliance by Mourinho. But name me a person who ever gets any transfer right, and I will call you a liar. But one thing did drop into my head today, last night watching Match of the Day. I remember this time last season being told loads and loads of times Fonte would be a good signing as a centre-back. And I said, he's absolute rubbish. We cannot sign him. I don't want him at Manchester United. Do not want Fonte. And a lot of you lot did. Who was right on that one? I'm just saying, might have got it wrong about Matic, but I do get it right about a lot of other things. Ross, Matic or Fellaini. Martial or Rashford against Leicester, where do you sit on that? Vast majority saying Martial.
I don't change a winning team, Mark. I would have played exactly the same team as he played against Swansea, and I would play exactly the same team again. You don't change a winning team for me. And look, Martial got more minutes than he did against West Ham. And I'd potentially give him more minutes again against Leicester. Give Rashford 60 minutes this time instead of 70 and introduce Martial like that. It's so early in the season. This cry out for Martial should be starting. Trust me, he's going to start about 40 games this season, easy. So there's no clamour to start him yet. If anything, it's nice to keep a player like that, and absolutely I'm going to call him world class. I don't care. His finishing's unreal. To have that, but fresh, because Rashford looks like he will burn himself out. He runs all over the pitch. He gives so much effort, and it will get to a time when Rashford's form will drop because he will burn himself out quite quickly. And look who we'll have on the bench ready to go. Probably 10 goals in already. Martial. And yeah, you mentioned his finishing mark. It is ridiculous. And I'll bring him up again. It's Thierry Henry-esque. It's just, there's Rashford that's going to have to really, really work on his finishing. And then there's Martial that could just do it all day, every day, probably since he was 5 years old. He was born with that talent. And it's rare to find a player like that. And yeah, that's one of the reasons why you mentioned him earlier. I don't want... No, I'd take Griezmann all day. I'd probably take a Bale. I don't want that Mbappe because I just think he's too similar to Martial. And I honestly believe we've got a better version. Just raring to go, but we're just holding him back because we don't need to play him, 60 games a season because we can hold that talent back and surprise him a little bit later on. And sorry, just to elaborate a bit more as well, I don't want players that... I don't want to play for United. They play negative football. I want players like Lukaku that's going to come in and go, I'm going to change the way you play because I'm good enough. I don't want players that just want to sign for us because we beat a few teams 4-0. If you didn't want to sign for us a month ago, you can sod off now. And that's kind of probably where a lot of people will sit with Griezmann because just because things are looking great don't mean you can now suddenly change your mind.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I think a great point there was that I think Martial is better than Mbappe. And I think some people might laugh at that. But I think if you put Martial in that Monaco team last season, he'd do exactly the same as what Mbappe did. Martial's a fantastic player. He just got a bit lost last season. Partly down to him, partly down to the manager. I think they've sorted that out. And I think he looks amazing. I mean, I'm not going to answer the question now because we will do a preview later in the week. And I'll sort of think it over. At the moment... I think when Martial came on yesterday, the game wasn't won, and he was a big part in why we won it. So he may well deserve a start against Leicester. But my other thought is, do we need to change a winning team, as Ross said? And secondly, why play all your cards from the start? If we start off with Rashford, who I thought played well yesterday, and leave Martial on the bench, psychologically for Leicester, that's a concern because then they know. We've got Martial on the bench to come on at some point, and that, like Ross said, maybe give half an hour in that game. It's a marathon, not a sprint. You could almost say, when's Herrera going to get back in the team? But no one's saying that at the moment. Probably one of our players of the year last year. No one's clamouring for Herrera. We were doing hashtag Herrera in under Van Gaal. He's our best player last year, arguably. He's not getting in the team. Where's the hashtag Herrera in? It's not there because... we're actually playing really well without him. But Herrera will still be a key player. As I said at the start of the video, the season really starts for me in September after the international break, when we've got to play European football in the midweek, and then we've got league games at the weekend, and it's loads and loads of games. We only ever had 3 games before this international break. It's 1 game a week. You can play strong team. Pereira's not even on the bench yet. I think he'll have a big part to play. So I'm very relaxed about it, and part of me thinks, yeah, let's just start the same 11 again, and let's get Martial off the bench. I'm relaxed about it. I don't think we need to clamour for anything at the moment. I think we should just enjoy the moments and let's see what happens. Anything else, Ross, you wanted to discuss?
I'll tell you what I would like to discuss just quickly, which I find absolutely hilarious, is I'm starting to... it really winds me up because De Gea hasn't had to make a save in literally 2 games, probably 1 or 2. And just like Courtois before him, everyone's going to clamour now that De Gea is the best goalkeeper in the world, which we all knew 2-3 seasons ago when he was pulling off worldie after worldie. Just winds me up that goalkeepers are judged on clean sheets because De Gea will get praise after praise this season if we carry on for keeping clean sheets and doing absolutely bugger all. And that really does wind me up that people can't see through the clean sheet stat because it really means nothing for a goalkeeper, a clean sheet. It just means he's got a good back 4 in front of him. And De Gea's had 3-4 seasons of what I think being the best keeper in the world with having no one in front of him, to be honest. And he's got the support now. He's got Matic, and he will get judged on clean sheets this season. So maybe we actually might see a season where he gets compared to Neuer because there's still this bizarre thing that Neuer is the best goalkeeper in the world, but I just cannot see it myself.
No, and I think you're right. I mean, De Gea was the best keeper in the league when we were losing games and drawing games because he was keeping us in those games that we were drawing, and he was making loads of saves in them games that we were losing. This season, to be honest, De Gea probably deserved a 5 out of 10 yesterday. Not his fault, but just because he had nothing to do. Yeah, so I totally agree with that. Thanks everyone for watching tonight. Remember to drop a like on the video. This is the Sunday night show, so it's our flagship show. We'll be back tomorrow morning at 7 AM with the Transfer Daily. Only 2 weeks of it left. Only 2 weeks of the Transfer Daily left, but I think there's going to be something big going on, so we'll wait and see what happens with that. Don't forget, if you like the Predictor League, you can join the United Stand Predictor League. It's not too late. The link is in the video description. It's the Super Brew League. It's link, sorry. And it is free to enter, so get yourself into that. A good bit of fun there, and we've got some prizes to give away for you as well. I think I've covered about absolutely everything, other than to say thanks for Ross to coming on tonight.
Yeah. Cheers, Mark. It's been a while for a Sunday show, because we've always had something going on the Sunday. But yeah, it's good to be back, mate.
Yeah. Ross will be hopefully back with us every week on a Sunday as we start to move away from transfers and get a bit of regular stuff going on. There is some big stuff going on with the United Stand, and hopefully that will be in play hopefully in the next couple of weeks. We'll see what happens though. Watch this space. But what we will have is, and we, you know, as always, live every night at 8 o'clock this week, 7 AM with the transfer shows, and tomorrow night at 8 PM it is the Skype show. So it's you lot tomorrow night, unscripted. We go live, you call in and have your say. So really looking forward to that. It's a nice thing to look forward to after your first day back at work or whatever. But thanks everyone, fantastic. You make it the channel, and really enjoyed having Ross on and interacting with you all, and look forward to doing it tomorrow night. Remember, if you're new, subscribe, bottom right hand corner, get involved with what is a fantastic community, and drop us a like on the video, and enjoy the rest of your weekend and what's left of it. And enjoy the start to your week, and we'll speak to you tomorrow. Thanks for coming on.